The entire restaurant went silent when the woman in the cream-colored suit slid a folded letter across the table and laughed. "I'll pay you $1 million to read this," she said, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. The black single father standing beside her table froze, still wearing the blue maintenance uniform he had arrived in that warm afternoon. A few guests turned their heads. Some smiled, expecting entertainment. Others stared at him as if he were exactly where they believed a man like him belonged. But nobody knew what was written inside that letter. And nobody could have imagined that the simple words on that page would change the lives of everyone sitting at that table. If you believe kindness, dignity, and second chances still matter, take a moment to like this story, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Heartline Stories, because sometimes the person we overlook is carrying the most important story in the room. His name was Marcus Ellison, a 40-year-old father who had learned to measure life not in luxuries, but in hours. He worked mornings repairing equipment at a downtown hotel, spent afternoons doing maintenance jobs wherever he could find them, and every evening rushed home to make dinner for his 9-year-old daughter, Nia. His wife had passed away 3 years earlier after a long illness, leaving Marcus with grief he rarely allowed himself to show. Since then, his entire world had become one simple promise: Nia would never feel abandoned. He kept that promise even when money was tight, even when his shoes were worn thin, and even when exhaustion made his hands shake while he counted the bills at night. That afternoon, Marcus had been called to an upscale restaurant owned by the powerful Whitmore Hospitality Group. A refrigeration unit in the kitchen had stopped working, threatening hundreds of dollars worth of food. Marcus arrived in his work uniform, carrying his tools, and repaired the machine within 40 minutes. As he prepared to leave, he noticed an elderly man sitting alone near the window, struggling to lift a glass of water. Marcus quietly helped him without being asked. The elderly man thanked him, but Marcus simply smiled and walked away. He had no idea that the man was the father of the restaurant's owner, Victoria Ashford, one of the wealthiest and most feared businesswomen in the city. Victoria had watched everything from her table. She was known for demanding perfection and treating people according to what she believed they were worth. Her restaurant was filled that afternoon with executives, investors, and wealthy clients. Marcus's presence in a mechanic's uniform seemed to offend the atmosphere she had carefully created. When a waiter mentioned that the maintenance worker had helped her father, Victoria called Marcus over. She asked him why he had interrupted his work to serve someone else's needs. Marcus explained that the man looked like he needed help. Victoria smiled coldly and told him that kindness did not pay bills. Then she noticed the envelope in Marcus's hand. It was an old letter, creased at the edges and protected inside a clear plastic sleeve. Marcus carried it everywhere. It had been written by his wife shortly before she died, but he had never found the courage to read the final page. Victoria asked what it was. Marcus quietly said it was personal. Instead of respecting that answer, she laughed. That was when she made her outrageous offer. She pulled out her checkbook, tapped her pen against the table, and told Marcus she would give him $1 million if he opened the letter and read it aloud in front of everyone. The restaurant became strangely quiet. Marcus looked at the checkbook, then at the letter, and finally at the faces watching him. For a moment, the $1 million tempted him. He imagined Nia's school fees paid. He imagined a safe home without overdue notices. He imagined finally buying the medicine his wife had once needed but they couldn't afford. $1 million could erase years of struggle. But then Marcus remembered why he had kept that letter unopened. He placed his tools gently on the floor and looked at Victoria. His voice remained calm as he explained that the letter was not worth $1 million. It was worth more than that because it was the last thing his wife had left him. He said that some things became worthless the moment they were sold, no matter how much money someone offered. The room went still. Victoria's confident smile disappeared. Marcus continued, telling her that his daughter had asked him many times why her mother had left so suddenly. He had always told Nia that her mother loved her more than anything. He had never needed $1 million to know that. He had needed courage. Then he finally opened the letter. His hands trembled as he read it silently. Tears filled his eyes. The letter did not contain instructions about money or property. It contained a message his wife had written for their daughter, telling Nia to remember that her father was the strongest man she would ever know, not because he was rich, but because he kept showing up when life gave him every reason to disappear. Marcus folded the letter against his chest. He looked at Victoria and gave the reply that froze the room. He would not accept her $1 million, because his daughter had already taught him something money could never buy, the value of being there for someone when they needed you most. Victoria lowered her eyes. For the first time in years, someone had refused to be impressed by her wealth. But Marcus had one final surprise. The elderly man Marcus had helped earlier was Victoria's father, Harold Ashford. He had quietly listened to everything. He stood slowly and told his daughter that Marcus had shown more character in one afternoon than many executives had shown during decades of business. Harold then revealed that he had been searching for someone trustworthy to oversee a new community foundation dedicated to helping struggling parents and children. He offered Marcus the position. Marcus almost refused, believing he wasn't qualified. Harold told him that qualifications could be taught. Character could not. Weeks later, Marcus was still working, but his life had begun to change. The foundation helped him secure stable housing, Nia received a scholarship, and Marcus began helping other single parents find work and emergency support. Victoria changed too. She started visiting the foundation, listening instead of commanding, and slowly rebuilt the relationship she had damaged with her father. One bright afternoon, Marcus sat beside Nia beneath a tree outside their new community center. She asked him what had been inside the letter. Marcus smiled and told her that her mother had left them something better than money, a reminder that love was measured by what you were willing to carry for someone else. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Heartline Stories. Your support helps these stories reach people who may need a little hope today. And before you leave, make one special commitment. Comment, kindness is worth more, if you believe someone's value should never be measured by their job, clothes, bank account, or social status. Because that afternoon, a wealthy woman thought she was offering a poor man $1 million to entertain a room full of strangers. Instead, a tired father reminded everyone that some things cannot be bought, not dignity, not love, not loyalty, and certainly not the priceless promise of a parent who refuses to give up on their child.